With changing trends since COVID, travel costs can seem out of reach for many, even with the number of travelers growing each year. Today we talk about the 5 things we consider to avoid overpaying for travel in 2026.
Welcome to the Travel More podcast.
Each episode, we share custom itineraries, travel hacks, expert advice, and even stories of our past travel failures to help you level up your travel game.
I'm Shelly, a lover of plans, itineraries, and cheap flights. I'm an expert deal finder with one eye always on the budget.
And I'm Bruce, the improviser, ready to pick up where plans fail to turn letdowns into unexpected trip favorites. We're here to bust through barriers that stop you from making your travel dreams a reality.
So book that flight, buy the tickets, and say hello to your next adventure.
This is the Travel More Podcast. Welcome back to the Travel More Podcast.
Welcome! Our last episode of summer school for the year.
We're wrapping it up. That makes me really sad because that means summer is getting close to
I was going to say, we shortened summer school this year on purpose because it feels like it kind of mimics a back-to-school season. But here in Connecticut, back to school, we still have like a while, a month.
But our friends down south, and especially in Florida, I'm thinking about, they're going back August, which is right around the corner. So
yeah, really right around the corner. We still have 2 trips left.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
We're definitely not slowing down yet, but summer school's on its way out. You know, I was just thinking about this. We've been like, I feel like toying and like saying we have this new thing coming for so long, and we actually had an episode to like launch said new thing that we've been like preparing for literally like 2 years, and it's still not ready. So I promise that we're not just like saying like we have this thing and then we like don't actually, like, we really do have this thing that we've been putting our blood, sweat, and tears into, and we had this whole episode planned for it, but it's just not quite there yet.
It's almost there.
It is almost there. So we're gonna get to it. I promise it's not like a fake thing. It's a real thing. And we will eventually be able to launch it. It's just not quite there yet.
Okay, so before we dive into today's episode, we do want to shout out 2 of our listeners, Mary and Terry. Thank you so much for supporting us on Buy Me a Coffee and supporting the show. It's so nice to see that. And we've gotten some reviews lately. Every time you guys reach out and email us or send us a message on Facebook, Instagram, it really makes it feel worthwhile.
That
absolutely. We're here and that people are listening. So thank you so much for supporting the show.
Yeah, thank you. So today is like a really interesting episode, I think, because there's just been so much that has changed, like drastically changed in the last like year even, in travel and the way that even we think about it and we plan our trips. So we kind of wanted to end the summer school with a thought into 2026, because if you're following kind of our methodology, you've already planned all your 2025 trips and you are really looking into 2026 and what does that look like?
Yeah, and when we started the show, it was in that post-COVID, time period where travel, everything was very different.
I missed some of those prices.
Definitely. And you can still get cheap airfare, and that's one of the things we're going to talk about. But some of those flights that we were able to get, they just don't exist in the same way.
Yeah, I haven't seen a $300 flight to Europe in a long time.
Right, I'm thinking like when we went to Paris.
Yeah,
as crazy as it was, like I remember going to the cathedral, like literally being like, please don't get, we had to test for COVID.
Yeah, that was very scary.
How do we spend our however many hours you had to wait for the results? We're like, let's go to the church.
Yeah.
So
things have changed a little bit. Not to say that you can't travel like on a budget. It's just things have changed.
Okay, so let's break down our top 5 ways that travel has changed.
And like what we're looking for in 2026.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the first one, like we just talked about, is airfare. Airfare has gotten way more expensive. I kind of judge airfare based on my flight alerts. So for example, in 2021, I was getting flight alerts for like $350 round trip JFK to Paris.
Yeah, that was that trip we took at Christmas.
Right, but it wasn't the only one I was getting. I was getting quite a few.
Oh, I saw them in the 200s.
That's what I mean. Like I was getting some crazy flight deals. And not to say that I don't get those still, maybe not quite as crazy, but I kind of judge the flight prices not off of like me looking for one individual flight, but instead like what are the alerts that I'm seeing coming in to me. So for example, I've not seen a trip to Paris in the 300s in a long time, but I think I just got one recently for like $450, which to me means okay, so the price has gone up pretty substantially to get a flight alert at $450, because if it's a flight alert, it means it's well below the like average. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so like
exactly.
it kind of gives me a way to like keep my pulse You know, like travel pulse, my finger on the pulse. Is that how you say that?
Yeah, there it is.
That's like how I use flight alerts too. Honestly, even if I'm not looking for a flight, I kind of use it to kind of gauge what flights are looking like, and they've gotten more expensive.
So what do we do for 2026 if we want to be on a budget?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, it's either about being, well, yeah, okay, I'm gonna say it's about being either really early or really late. If you're paying cash prices, I'm gonna say for me, it would be considered really late, last minute. But last minute for me is like 6 weeks to 4 weeks out
Right.
of our flight. I am going to try to hold myself to not book before that. Even right now, we have a few trips planned where we don't have the plane tickets and we have everything else, and I'm just like biting my nails. I just like really want to book those tickets because I like having everything done. But we have found out, we just did an episode about this actually in summer school, through the data that Google Flights, Hopper, all of those kind of aggregation sites or whatever have told us that the best time to buy flights is at like 37-day mark or whatever, except for holidays, and that includes spring break.
And international and domestic are a little different.
They are different,
but
yes.
anyway,
that's a good point to make. I'm thinking domestic because those are our flights
those
that
are the
we're
ones
doing.
that, yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
feel more comfortable leaving the domestic to the last minute for some reason.
No, I agree. It feels like, if this is not true really, but it feels like in my head that like worst case scenario we could just drive, which is not really the case.
That's
but
not like at all possible.
No, but in my head it is. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you're not
like,
gonna take a boat across the Atlantic.
That's what I mean.
Right?
Like in my head, I'm like, well, worst case scenario, we could always fly to this place and then take a car from there, which would not be ideal, but like at least we'd get there. Like if we're going to Europe, like we got to get there.
The risk allows us to,
be a little more flexible.
Right.
But yeah, so you either want to buy tickets really, really early, and I'd only suggest that with using points and miles, because points mile flights don't really change unless there's like a sale, and that's not that common.
That's even more the argument for getting into the points and miles game.
Yeah, you can like book
especially.
early. Yeah, exactly. Although sometimes you're kind of like, oh gosh, there's nothing here for points and miles either, because that's what's happening with us right now. Is like my JetBlue is usually my go-to for this route. And there ain't nothing. I mean, there is, but it's like 30,000 points a ticket. I'm like, no.
So for flights, our number one rule for 2026 is it pays to procrastinate.
Yeah. Or book early if you're doing points. But yeah, it's the middle that you're going to get killed on. Or booking too early with cash. I have seen people, I'm part of all kinds of travel Facebook groups, and I've seen people that are talking about like going Dallas to Orlando and paying like $500 a person. Like, that's obscene.
Yeah, that's...
do not do that.
Yuck.
They will go down. They will not always be $500 a person. Nope. So it does pay to do a little research as to like what is the norm right now and waiting for that to happen.
All right, so number 2, credit cards, devaluation.
Yeah.
Which we're still getting over the priority pass thing with Capital One.
Yeah, I don't know if we've mentioned it here, but Capital One Venture X, which is our favorite card of all time, is getting rid of the priority pass for your guests or authorized users. So I've been an authorized user. Bruce has the card. I'm an authorized user and have been for years. And I've been using that priority pass like it's going out of style. We love it. And now I'm not going to be able to do that unless you spend like $75,000, I think, on the Venture X. That's like how you get I believe so. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
There's some specifics, but like that's a lot of money.
Yeah, we're not going to spend $75,000 on the Venture X card.
I hope not.
So, yeah.
Just wait till our daughter's older. Then.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm a little sad about that, but that's not the only thing. I mean, there's been just a plethora of, like, the Chase Sapphire had a revamp that some people are excited about. I'm not, because I find it what I'm calling coupon book perks, which is just like the Amex Platinum is another one like that, where you just get like $10 off this, $70 off this, $5 off this a month. Like, it's just so many other things. And can you get the annual fee back from those things? Yes, if you already use those services or you were looking to use them,
or you shop at those stores.
That's what I
there's
mean.
A lot of like luxury brands. I'm not a big fan of the coupon book. I like that you call it that.
Yeah.
I just don't see it as the reason to get the card.
It just takes so much to get the worth out of it, and I feel like a lot of these credit cards are starting to kind of go that way.
And I think it kind of pushes your hand on buying stuff you may not have bought.
Oh, 100%.
Just to get that 12 times bonus.
100%.
Like, I'm going to buy Oakley's just because
it's like $50 off, but it's like, yeah, but you're spending $300. I don't know. It just...
You're right.
It's
and
like...
you wouldn't have bought them. Right.
Exactly. I mean, I find us doing that even with the Capital One travel credit. Like, yes, we would have used the travel credit no matter what, but I definitely see us falling into a little bit of a trap sometime of being like, well, we have the credit, so we can get a little nicer room or a little nicer car or, whatever, because we have the money. But it's like, but we paid that money. It's not just free money, but it feels like that a little because we paid it before.
Well, I think that's a good point for everyone listening. When you're traveling and you have a budget, credit cards, as much as we talk about them, we really have to understand, are you going to use the perks? You got to, before you start building your wallet, you want to think about the perks, and they are changing. So really the name of the game for number 2 is to earn and burn.
Yeah, that's we went on a little bit of a tangent about our coupon book cards, but that is the kicker right now, because we've seen so many devaluations across the board right now. Southwest is in the news all about it, but like, we don't know what the credit card game is going to look like.
Don't sit on it.
You don't want to sit on it.
Yeah,
you never know. It feels like it can be, because it doesn't just feel like it can be ripped out from under you at any given time. So if you're sitting on points being like, in 5 years, I'm going to take this trip, do not do that. Just use them as soon as you can get them. And this is also a lesson to myself, as I sit on like 500,000 points right now. You just need to use them, because you never know when that won't be a thing anymore. So we're just going to continue to do it until someone tells us we cannot.
So speaking of, the number 3 kind of is like fees. I'm thinking about credit card annual fees. But now it's a little different fee.
Yeah.
It's that fees are showing up everywhere.
Which I'm sure if you've flown in the last 5-ish years, you've seen that just all of a sudden things that have always been included in flights are all of a sudden not included.
Right. This goes back to like number 1. We're talking about flights in general are more expensive, but there's also more budget options than ever before. But the tricky thing with budget options is that they nickel and dime you.
Yes.
So these like hidden fees around baggage or picking your seat. That's one part of hidden fees.
Absolutely. That's a big one. I mean, when you start to actually think about like, oh, it's only $30 for a bag, but it's $30 each way. And now that, $150 fare is now closer to, I have to do the math in my head, 210, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, the Delta flight was only 250 and the Delta flight has a better on-time percentage or better, whatever it is. I just mean that you got to be careful, because a lot of these things kind of look too good to be true, and then they are. I see this a lot with hotels. Flights, I think we've all kind of gotten used to, although angrily used to.
Right.
The idea that like seats aren't included anymore and baggage isn't included.
We're used to it, but only because you're like signing up for, it's like the Spirit airline. You're like, I know what I'm getting into here, and I'm just going to deal with it.
Right. And it's like, it's annoying. But the thing that I think is popping up a lot, at least from what I'm seeing, is hotels. So hotels are like revamping, they're becoming nicer, but then all of a sudden you have all these like resort fees and parking fees. I have seen, I'm sure there's even better examples than this, but just recently I have seen resort fees at like $45 a night and another $30 a night to park. So where you think like, oh, I'm going to stay at this like kind of cheaper hotel or whatever, it like ends up adding up to way more. Like the best example of this is Disney, and I know not everyone's a big Disney person, but just bear with me because it's a good example. Disney resorts are usually more expensive than like the area resorts, but the area resorts almost exclusively have resort fees and sometimes parking fees. So I was like trying to help somebody figure that out recently, and it was like $50 cheaper a night to stay at, well, I don't know, some random hotel than the cheaper Disney one. But then the resort fee was like, again, like $40 a night. Parking fee was like $15 a night. Plus then you have to park at the parks. So actually it was more expensive per night if you have a car to stay at that other resort, and then you don't get any of the perks that you go to the Disney resort. So this can be, that's a very specific example, but this can kind of be the same thing you're looking at major cities, where it's like, oh, I could stay at the Marriott, or I could stay at this off-brand hotel that's like a little further away, but it's cheaper. But then you actually start adding it up and you're like, it's not that cheaper.
Right. It's frustrating because it's like sticker price versus reality. And it's not, travel's not the only industry that the tactic is used to bring you in. Then all of a sudden it's like, well, you're actually paying $20, $30 more because of this and that. But I think
wasn't a rental car recently that you found that on?
Oh, well, the rental, so that's another type of fee that it's its own category. But if you're renting a car abroad, really anywhere, you got to be careful, because sometimes you'll see, wow, $30 for 6 days. Like, we're going to Panama. And something I learned pretty quickly in just looking online is that you have to have liability insurance, and your credit cards only cover collision damage or whatever. Like, it's not the same as liability. So people think like, well, I have a fancy credit card, I don't need to get the extra insurance on my rental car. That's not really true.
Yeah, it depends, but yeah.
It really depends, but it depends on your country.
Yeah.
So when you see a price that's like one thing, that's going to be 80, and then all of a sudden you get there and it's like it's $50 a day for this insurance, or else we'll put like a hold on your card.
Yeah.
If you're not prepared for that fee,
yeah.
then how are you budgeting?
$50 a day is no small thing. It's like more expensive than the car rental itself.
But I think, and then other things like if you need a car seat and if you have a kid or there's all kinds of ththings that could sneak in on car rentals. So if you've not done that and you're budgeting, and I mean, I would recommend as much as possible when you travel, if you don't need a car, don't rent one.
No, but this is a good example in general where it's just like there's just fees because people are competing. They know things are expensive. They know people's budgets are tighter. And so they are advertising one thing, but then actually at the end of the day, it's turning into another.
And at the counter when you're when you're there, so it's the pressure of like, oh man, what do I do? Which is not a nice practice, but it happens.
So my best advice to this and what we're doing is really just trying to read all of the terms and conditions. Really, every single hotel, I always look for a resort fee and parking fee every single time, no matter what. Even if I think it won't, I don't care. I'm gonna look for it.
That's why
flights are a little more like transparent. You can see right away if you're gonna need a seat or whatever. And then again, rental cars is another one where it's like just assume there's insurance, and maybe Reddit is another good example for like using forums on like what else is going to be required, but just assume there's going to be insurance and then try to figure out how much it will be per day, and if not, great, but you should be prepared.
Yeah, that's why we talked about cross-referencing your sources. Like I go on Google reviews, TripAdvisor, Reddit, and if everybody's kind of pointing in the same direction, there you go.
Yeah.
And the other thing, going back to like third party as a search tool but not necessarily the booking, when you find that hotel, if you go, you're not necessarily going to see on booking.com or Expedia that there's a resort fee all the time. So you should go to the website and see that, are they charging other things?
That's a good point.
So they go to the actual merchant. And if you can't get the merchant, well, the risk is yours. I'd be like, those places that are hard to like find a number for because they're just like an old hotel. So anyway, just things to keep in mind, because the worst stealer of joy in travel is when you are hit unexpectedly with an expense. Yeah. And when you are kind of prepared, and if you're someone who's already go with the flow, that's great. Yeah. But if you're not, I think the more you just kind of prep and know that you could potentially get in these situations, you're gonna be a much happy traveler.
Yeah, we also always add like what we consider a travel tax, to our budget.
That's just my way of calming you down.
Yeah. No, we've talked about this before though. Like just because there is always something that's going to come up. The more you can have in that, the less you'll be stressed about it. And obviously you hope to not have to use that. But things like taxis because you didn't realize that something was closed, or for us it was 100 degrees in Rome and we didn't want to walk 35 minutes to the Vatican, so we took a 12-minute taxi. Like, just like random little things like that always go over smoother when you're like, well, I have some money in the travel tax budget.
Yeah, like stuff that you would have loved to save on, but you're not going to worry too much because you're only visiting a place briefly, and you can't possibly know everything about a new destination.
So that's kind of the two ways we're battling back on fees is doing a lot of research around it and also having that travel tax like savings just in case.
Right. All right, so number 4, our last two. Number 4 is that things are just getting crowded. Travel
really crowded.
Travel really boosted and increased post-COVID. But I think we live in a time which is wonderful, that more people are able to take advantage of going and doing things.
Yeah.
But that means that your most heavily visited tourist destinations are getting overrun, and you may see in the news like there are places that are kind of fighting back.
Yeah, there's like tourist tax, which I don't actually mind.
No, I mean, I think it's important because like we want to be responsible people in the world and sensitive to like where we're going, what we're doing. But that leads us to kind of that this not that type of thinking.
Yeah.
So for 2026 and beyond, expand the destinations, not just the things you've heard, but there's so much to see in the world.
Yeah, and a lot of things that like aren't getting the airtime on social media. It doesn't mean anything about that place. Like it has zero bearing on whether that place is actually worth visiting or not. We found some of our most incredible travel, like stories and destinations and what we've seen in the world is not like a popular destination on social media.
Yeah, and don't forget that social media is it's a snake eating its own tail, I guess. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but it's going to put you in a bubble that you think is the world.
Yeah.
When in reality, like, it's not at all. It's just the world that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
So I like when we went to Porto and we went to Vigo.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think Vigo, Spain is on the map for anybody, really.
Yeah.
But it definitely is for people who live in Spain and Portugal, because it was a huge destination for Christmas time.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
A lot of tourists.
Like, the best Christmas market I've ever been to, still.
Yeah, but there were no people from the United States.
No.
Like, at all.
No, I actually, I don't know. I'm trying to think back. It's been a couple of years, but I actually don't remember ever running into anybody from the U.S.
No, and it was the wonderful place to go.
They're
Not hard
so
at all.
nice.
Don't need to know. Like, I knew a little bit of Spanish. We were, and I think if you're comfortable, just realize that, like, most places in the world, honestly, are just people being people.
Yeah, right.
Just go and be kind and patient, and know that you're a guest and a visitor,
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna get really far. You don't need to go to tourist hotspots to enjoy. But again, if it's your first time going somewhere, there's nothing wrong with finding a place that's a little bit more, common that people go, because it's definitely very easy. I mean, places that we've been that it's obvious that it's a place where people all over the world go.
Yeah.
There's no question you're gonna be able to get around.
Yeah, but then you need to make sure that you're planning well in advance. So like we just went to probably one of the most popular destinations this summer, which is Rome, because it's the Jubilee at the Vatican. And I booked our tickets to the Vatican in like December for our July trip and still couldn't get the time I wanted. So like instead of the first time of the day, I had to get the last time of the day, which still worked out. But ideally, I would have gotten the first time and we would have done the Vatican the second day, but it literally was sold out. And that was 7 months ahead of time.
Right.
Like, that's wild. That's not typical. I mean, I'm a pretty far planner aheader, and that's not typical. The other thing I'm thinking about for 2026 is I'm curious for some of these bigger destinations, not necessarily, actually, I'll just say the bigger destinations, I'm curious about some of these small group tours. It's something that I kind of want to lean into, especially as, we have kids, and it is kind of just nice to have somebody else doing some of the logistics for you. This is different though than those big bus tours. I'm not so into that.
Like Gate 1 or whatever.
Yeah, I'm not super into that, but I just keep thinking about our trip in Uganda. It was one of the best experiences of my whole life. And that was a guided tour. And I think that there are other companies like that.
There are. Well, when we were exploring that potential to help put our own together.
Oh yeah, we found some really great ones.
We met a lot of tour operators that essentially are local to where they're coming from, and that means they're very connected to the businesses and the environments that exist there.
Yeah.
Like not Guatemala, Ecuador.
Yeah, Ecuador.
And Peru.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth exploring, but I think it's important that you find companies that are kind of grassroots, and they're not. I think about Africa a lot because there's those Belgian and German companies that come in and set up these safaris, but I'm like, dude, no, you want to get owned by the people there, and supporting the places you're going, because they're going to give you a better experience.
Yeah. No, absolutely, and that's kind of what I mean is as places get more and more crowded, to me, it's going to be worth the cost to get kind of an insider scoop with these small group tours. Yeah. But that's the other thing is that is going to take some research. That's not just a thing you can be like, oh yeah, I'll just sign up with whatever, because you really will want to find what you were talking about, a nice small local company, because that's going to give you the best experience.
I think it's worth looking into that for destinations that might be less easy to just access on your own.
Yeah. Well, for sure for that, Ecuador, Peru, not that you can't access those by yourself, but I know we have a contact there I will absolutely be using when we go.
Especially because if you want to go to the Amazon or these places that are, why not? I mean, sure, you could just go.
Yeah, but you can. But I don't know. I'm even wondering for these big cities, not that you can't do it yourself. I just wonder if you got a really curated small group tour, what could they show you?
I agree, because I mean, you could do stuff on your own. You can stumble and walk, and I think that's really fun. But having a bit of those waymarks or waypoints, landmarks, I was waypoints set up for you. And a good example is ever since Shelley was like, "Hey, you should download the Rick Steve free guides." When we were in Pompeii.
Yeah.
I get Facebook ads now, and I saw a picture that was of a sculpture that we saw in the Vatican.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a quick synopsis of the meaning of that sculpture. It was from the Rick Steves like website.
Mm-hmm.
And it blew my mind, and it connected a bunch of stuff that I saw I had no idea about. And it made like the experience I'd already had much better. So I think that's a good example of like sometimes if you invest in maybe a small tour or something, you know, it heightens what you're going to do and see because you're getting to learn a little bit more about it. So anyway, just
absolutely. Okay, so that was like our little like offshoot. That was like not quite the same thing as number 4, but that's okay. The next one kind of goes along with the same thing, which is really just that I hate AI. I'm like not into it at all. But
so does this mean we're old enough now that we're beginning to dislike a new technological innovation?
I think
is this
so.
like not liking color TV when you're in like 1960 or something?
Or just not liking
the
TV.
Radio is all we needed.
Yeah.
No, but I think AI does bring some challenges.
Yeah.
It has its uses, but in travel, I think just asking AI to generate you certain things like an itinerary can just be fraught with problems.
Yeah, and I mean, besides the ones that we kind of already mentioned, which is like they're just scanning other people's work, which is another thing that I'm not a huge fan of. Like it's literally just taking people's work that
regurgitating it.
Yeah.
In a way that appears like it's savvy. AI is savvy in the way that it writes, but it's not necessarily in the way that it aggregates and disseminates.
Right, well, it's just looking for common denominators.
Yeah.
But, you know, just because something's a common denominator, one, does not necessarily mean it's the best or like what you should be doing.
Or what you want.
And then number 2, it like, it's just taking the thing that's coming up the most, but not necessarily the most recent.
That's
so, like,
also true.
That's the other part is like,
might not even be open. The place
exactly. That's what I was gonna say. It could tell you like, oh, this is the number one thing to do, but it's like, yeah, but that's closed for innovations for 2 years, and unless you really dig deep, you may not know that, and it could really mess you up. But besides even that, I think the other problem is, I think it's going to start to send a lot of people to the same places, the same restaurant, because I've seen it. Like it says, like, eat dinner, consider eating dinner here and here.
That's already how it feels with Instagram when
Yes.
places go viral. Well, I think we talked about that when we went to Italy.
Yeah.
Some of the places that we went to in Florence, it was like,
yeah,
everyone is here.
Right, exactly. It was like the only times we waited for in lines for things were on places I found on social media, and they were not any better than the places I found elsewhere.
Yeah, they weren't bad, but it started to feel like, well, the prices are jacked up because they can.
Yeah.
Because they're getting inundated with this like viral experience.
Right. And I don't know about you, but like, that's not the thing I'm going to write home about, to be like, look at this small mom and pop thing I found. It's not that. It's like, I stood in line for 30 minutes to get this Instagram picture. Like, to me, that's just not.
It's not it.
That's not what I'm writing home about.
No.
I'm writing home about, like, we stumbled upon this thing and it was amazing. Or, like, I found this recommendation and no one was there. Oh, like that place that we went to in that other neighborhood. We got that really good steak.
That was from a Reddit post.
That
right?
was from a Reddit
someone who
post.
lived there.
Yes.
See, I don't know if AI is going to crawl and find that because it's one person's write-up.
Right. And then there were, like, 2 other people who were like, yes, I also live there and that is a really good spot to go.
Right.
But, like, it would never have taken that because there were 100 other places that were more popular on like TripAdvisor and things like that would have popped up way before this place.
So it's not, there's nothing wrong with playing around with ChatGPT, and I'm sure in time it's going to morph into something that isn't right now. But just know that it's not giving you. It's not really giving
anything
you
special.
No, it's really
going to give you the same thing that a textbook in the place would give you,
it could give you errors too. Like,
a lot of errors. Yeah. So for us, we are not going to trust AI. We're not even going to use AI. That's what we're looking at for 2026. In fact, I may look up AI just to see where to avoid. But yeah, AI is not it for me in the travel sphere.
Definitely. So is it possible to travel on a budget in 2026?
Well, yeah, of course.
Of course.
Always easy to, not easy, but always able.
Always. Yes, I think
do it.
Just you got to know the current times, and hopefully these 5 things point you in the right direction for that.
Yeah, and don't leave you scrambling. You just gotta take a little more consideration. That's all.
Yep.
All right. Well, that is it for summer school.
Yeah, I hope you enjoyed.
Which, just a reminder, summer school's every week, but our regular podcast is every other week. So we'll be taking a break next week, and then we'll be back.
We'll be back.
Yeah, we'll see you then.
See ya. Thanks for
Bye.
listening.
Did you know that every time you book a Disney or Universal vacation, you're paying for a service that you may not even be using?
Really?
That's right. Travel agent costs are added to your Disney or Universal vacation, whether you use one or not.
So you're telling me that I'm paying for something even though I'm not getting the help?
You got it. So next time you want to book a theme park vacation, make your money work for you. By booking with Magic Pass Travel, you'll get our expertise and years of experience without paying any extra and while supporting a small business.
Check out our show notes to find our contact information.
Can't wait to help you plan your next adventure.